What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. As we dive into today's video, we're diving into Green Lantern Corps. This series brought back, and this is going to be issues 1 through 5. After the Green Lantern Civil War, we're picking up with some fan favorites. Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, John Stewart, Jessica Cruz. We even have Teen Lantern in here, and we're about to start learning a lot more about Teen Lantern's gauntlet. But with the Lantern Corps reignited, they need to show the universe that they're back to patrolling, and that is why our story starts us in Sector 2262, when some pirates try to take people prisoner. We have John Stewart and the Green Lantern Corps that are showing up on site. And while all of this was a bit dramatic, the Green Lantern Corps, they came here today to make a statement. The United Planets is in disarray. There's a power vacuum right now in the universe, and John Stewart plans to have the Corps leading the way and securing that vacuum. But as we jump over to OA Sector 0, we have all these goons that are being brought in for processing. And as they do this, Joe lets her know that Jessica Cruz, she needs to see John Stewart up in her office. But she's also a little bit concerned about John. Everything that happened with his mom, all that going on, John Stewart's been through a lot the last 2 years. But really, she's just letting him know that I'm here for you. This is what picks us up with Jessica Cruz. She is now the Green Lantern Corps' captain. Now that the Guardians are no longer in charge, Jessica Cruz has more or less been elected to take command. And they elected her because her, more than anybody, has the ability to overcome fear. And this job, it's a scary job. Making sure that you're doing the right thing for the entire Green Lantern Corps. It's a lot of responsibility. But as she hightails it out of here, heading to the Great Hall, because she's about to be late for her own meeting. In the Great Hall, we have John Stewart that has met up with our Teen Lantern and Ellie, the light construct that is essentially a living construct of John Stewart's sister. He literally willed her into existence. He knows this thing is a little bit different. He knows that eventually people are going to start asking questions. People are going to start having a problem with Ellie being around. But that's a problem for another day, because today their problem is Nathan Broom, aka the Sorrow. He is a splinter of the emotional spectrum, most notably referred to as the Emo Lantern. And right now he's trying to make a central battery. But if he does so, this could destroy the entire emotional spectrum, maybe even all the universe. And so with Guy Gardner and the others being tasked out on another mission, John Stewart is getting tasked with a different one. He's headed to Tamaran. There has been a huge spike in fear energy. And so a team has been put together. A team consisting of John Stewart and Sinestro. Sinestro is back to being a Green Lantern, helping save the Green Lantern Corps in their war against Tharos. He stopped Mogo in his tracks, but now with the yellow power battery gone, he had manifested rage. Now he's using willpower to keep that rage in check. This is what takes us to Tamaran. We have Black Star that is sitting here battling some kind of yellow god. A golden god, if you will. 10 points to anybody that gets that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia reference. But the lanterns show up, and of course Black Star's like, I don't need your help. Like, cool, you showed up, but the United Planets, after everything that they have failed to do, after the Green Lantern Corps had failed to do their job, of course referring to the United Planet Lanterns. When the Green Lantern Corps was under the control of Tharos, nobody was safe. Nobody was taken care of. Now the Green Lantern Corps has a responsibility of fixing their reputation. This is where Sinister says, if you guys are done arguing, I'm gonna go find out what's going on. You guys distract that giant monstrosity. I'm gonna find the source of this. This is what takes him down into a small little palace opening. We have a woman sitting here in a yellow bubble of fear. And what she fears is that her god will judge her. And y'all know Sinister, he's not good with bedside manner. He straight up tells her, like, quit your blubbering. Asking what her name is, she says her name is Vex. And with Sinestro introducing himself, he tells her that you have the ability to channel great fear, but do you have the willpower to control it? That this is not your god. This is a construct that you birthed from your own mind. At first, she refuses to accept this. She believes this is prophecy. that the god has returned, and she has come to exact retribution on any who do not believe. But Sinister says that you do believe, and yet you sit here and you cower in fear. Fear that you are not worthy. He tells her that this fear, it's not a weakness. Fear is a sharpening stone that hones the blade of your mind. Being a Green Lantern doesn't mean having no fear. It's about overcoming the fear. As Sinestro extends his hand out, asking her, do you have the strength to overcome fear? With her rising up to her feet, the light construct, it disappears. John Stewart having to remind himself and forgetting at times that sometimes, at times, some would consider Sinestro to be the best of the Green Lanterns. He tells John Stewart that, I think we found a candidate. With her power and everything that she just exhibited, she has shown extraordinary ability in being able to overcome great fear. And so John Stewart grants her a Green Lantern ring. With her thanking Sinestro, he says to only do so once your training is complete. Kyle Rayner taking her back to Oa to complete her training. This is how they have begun to really fill their ranks back in. Now, back at the Great Hall of Oa, there's not everybody that is super happy Sinestro is willy-nilly giving away a ring. But without central batteries, people are becoming ticking time bombs of emotional energy. John Stewart and Sinestro are thinking alike in this manner, that these people, they need to be turned into lanterns. Not only would we fill our ranks, but if they can overcome the raw emotional power that is going through them, if they can use the willpower to overcome that, why not let them be lanterns? Because if they can become a true master, who knows the power that they may be able to harness? No longer being able to count on the rings to go out and pick people based on their capacity for willpower. They have to pick them for their strength, for their integrity, for their ability to do good. This is the only way they keep the darkness at bay. But there's also another matter that they have to take up, a matter of political importance. Because after the Civil War, Thanagar was destroyed. The Thanagarians are left without a home. Now they have to figure out what the hell they're gonna do. An envoy sent ahead, an ambassador for the homeworld. We have the arrival of Hawkwoman. That taking us over to issue number 2. We pick up with our lanterns in hyperspace on their way to Thanagar. They've been asked to help assess the damage that has happened. But what do you say to something that has lost everything? John Stewart really is at a complete loss of words. He doesn't even know what to say to Hawkwoman, because once they arrive there, what they see is a planet that has essentially been ripped in half. Mogo is the one responsible for doing this. Overtaken by rage, sent like a weapon at Thanagar. He crashed into it, and he split this planet open. But we also have an interesting turn of events. We have Razor, who has become a Green Lantern. Once a Green Lantern of Hope. Before that, a Lantern of Rage. So not only has he been Rage and Hope, but now he's a Lantern of Willpower. But arriving on scene, this is where they see that they got company. Atrocitus is here, our leader of the Red Lanterns. And the way that he sees it, the Green Lanterns, they took everything from him. His power, his world, his rage. Now he has come to get revenge. He has begun to drill in what remains of Thanagar. This is where our lanterns take the opportunity to sneak onto the ship. They want to find out what the heck is going on. What are they doing here and what is their purpose here? And so they split into 2 teams. Razor and Kilowog, they go to investigate all the drilling. Meanwhile, Hawkwoman and John Stewart, they break into the ship. As they make their way through the ship, this is where they see Zox. Once a Red Lantern, but he seems to be hooked up to this ship, almost like he's being tortured or interrogated in some manner. Down at the digging site, Kilowog is investigating, and what we see, it's Nith metal. That is what Atrocitus is digging for. It appears to be a giant wall of it. This is when sorrow begins to sweep over Razor, the sadness and guilt overcoming him. Sorrow thinks he's gonna come in here and he's just gonna wreck shop. What he didn't expect was Kilowog. With Kilowog throwing down his hammer, Sorrow is about to find out that his powers, they can't work on everybody. Back with Jon Stewart and Hawkwoman, Atrocitus has begun to attack them. Zux had manifested the rage, the Red Lantern energy, the raw, untapped power, the emotional spectrum. With it all going crazy, it manifested in him, and they started using the nth metal to really siphon it off before he exploded like we had seen previously. Because that's really essentially what happens. The emotional spectrum gets hold of them, and the power builds up so much that they can literally burn away. We saw this when Hal Jordan was facing a Red Lantern in his series. But as they battle against Atrocitus, he blames the Green Lantern Corps for everything that they have lost. And at this point, Jon Stewart's trying to figure out what the hell he's talking about. Meanwhile, Kilowog facing off against Sorrow. Sorrow is in complete and utter confusion because his lantern ability, it's not working on Kilowog. And that's because Sorrow energy, it may affect some people, but for Kilowog, Sorrow is a fact of life that he accepted a long time ago. As this cavern comes crashing down, Kilowog gets out of here, taking Razor with him, but what we see emerge from the planet is a giant nth metal sphere, this golden egg basking in the light. Now we have to wonder, what is inside of it? And that is what takes us over to issue number 3. And issue 3 starts us by showing what happened. What happened to the Red Lanterns? The United Planet Lanterns, they came for them. They came to them as Red Lanterns, but they changed. They sabotaged the power battery. That is their literal lifeblood. And then they were left for dead. Many had died instantly, but their kind wasn't easily cold. But without their power battery, they would eventually perish. Few of them survived the explosion, and those that did only survived because they held a very strong charge in their rings. But when the slave traders showed up, what little power they had left, it kept them alive, which means they couldn't fight. But when the emotional spectrum had hit Zox, the red rage flowing through him, that gave them the power. That gave them the energy that they needed. They had power to take the ship, to take their revenge. And with the help of the Thanagarian nth metal, they could channel this red energy. They channeled it from Zox into the vessel. This is how they would get back their civilization. Now, Jon Stewart, he's not trying to fight. He tries calming him down, tries letting him know that we gotta figure this out, with Hawkwoman wanting nothing more than to clobber him. This is when the giant sphere, it begins to crack open, and from that egg rises Horus, the god of Thanagar. And Atrocitus, his first thought, open fire. As he opens fire with his ship, Horus in his ancient language, he would ask, "Who dares attack me?" Seeing the ship, Horus rips it in half. This is where our lanterns, they jump into action. Jon Stewart using all of his might. He shields the ship and all of its inhabitants as the Corps works to rescue each and every person before they die to the exposure of space. Atrocitus goes to Zox, goes to take his energy, because he knows in this moment, with the ship being destroyed, Zox will explode. And so Atrocitus, he says, "Give it to me. Let me take on all of your rage." But even for Atrocitus, this is all too much, as he burns bright red. Hawkwoman, even with her rage, even wanting to take off Atrocitus's head, she lends out her mace, the nth metal absorbing this energy, enough to where it allows both of them to live. And while Atrocitus believes this is where the Red Lantern Corps dies, Hawkwoman says, "Not yet." And then Hawkwoman, she flies up to Horus. Horus believes that blasphemy, it shall be punished, but she asks for forgiveness. Though these people are blasphemous, these are not your people. And have you become such a weak god that you would destroy the helpless, those that can do you no harm? Appealing to the god that's saying our world, it was destroyed by rage, by anger. We all know that you can do great damage, but now that you have returned, will the tale be told by your people of your heroism, of your mercy? Or will the tale of today be one of hate? Horus tells her that she is a true child of Horus, to tell her people that he is going to find them a new home. Then when he finds one, he will come to them in their dreams. He will lure their people back to the promised land, to the new planet he finds for them. With the day being one, we pick up back on Oa. We pick up in Jon Stewart's private quarters, and we're seeing the kind of relationship fleeing back up. I believe it's from the animated series, if I remember correctly. It's been quite a while though. But we have Hawkwoman and Jon Stewart that kind of have a thing here. Moreover, this is more a conversation about Ellie, about the light construct that Jon Stewart had created. Completely unintentional, but some have to wonder, is this healthy for you? And though Hawkwoman, she would really love to stick around. She has essentially become Moses for Horus. She's got to gather her people and lead them to the promised land. Taking us over to the Red Lantern's home planet. This is where we pick up with Sorrow. And it appears that Sorrow has come here picking up the remnants of the Red Lantern, of the Central Battery Red Lantern. To what purpose we yet to fully understand. But we know this has something to do with Starbreaker, because Starbreaker has been building his own Lantern Corps. He plans to take over everything. And so while he works in the shadows, we pick up with Guy Gardner. Now, Guy Gardner, he has just been tasked with taking on a recruit. They got recruits that need some field experience. So when Guy heads out to Kilowog, we pick up with a young Narf, looking almost feline in nature. I would say like a feline mixed with a small monkey. To be honest, he kind of looks like Gnar from League of Legends. But we see that he's not exceptional. And so Kilowog, he's passing him off to Guy Gardner like, this guy's puny, I don't even think he's gonna make it through the program. He's your problem now. As we hop over to our Teen Lantern, we pick up with Kelly, Ellie, and Simon. They are currently headed to Necrocopolis. This is a dead Starro, and it's one of the best places for kind of black market items, if you will. They've come here for a psionic battery. Kelly needs it for some of her work. And so as Simon and Kelly head into the market, Ellie stays behind. It just so happens that we have Narf and Guy Gardner that are also headed directly for this market. But they are here for completely separate reasons. Guy Gardner and Narf, they have come to meet up with Evil Star. You see, Evil Star, he is now in charge of this entire operation here. Without his star brand, he decided to get into the trading business. So now he's kind of like a warlord. But Guy Gardner, he gives him a proposition that I'm here looking for somebody by the name of Starbreaker, a Sun Eater, a guy that wants to essentially destroy the whole universe. So if you help me out with some information, I'll pretend like you guys aren't here, and I won't haul your butts into Oa. As we pick up with Simon and Kelly, they had gone in looking for the psionic battery, but the vendor, after he saw the Teen Lantern's gauntlet, he thought he would try to take it for his own. And so using a device, he is able to render both Simon and Kelly unconscious. This is where he begins the work of trying to figure out how to get this gauntlet off. Over with Guy Gardner, he's got his shield up. Evil Star is shooting away, but nothing is breaking through his shield. Even a quantum destabilizer. It may not be able to break through the shield, but it definitely sends the shield flying. With little Narf wondering, are we in trouble? This is where we pick up with Simon and Kelly. With them being knocked unconscious, Ellie has made it into Simon's mind. She had felt something strange going on, so she went to investigate, and not being able to talk to their physical selves, Ellie hopped into the mind of Simon. Whoever trapped them in here, they call this the Mind Maze. Ellie is trying to connect this maze over to Kelly's mind. As they walk through a doorway, what they see in Kelly's mind is a Green Lantern. He's bleeding, and he's telling Kelly that you have to destroy the glove, to destroy it before it destroys everything. But Kelly says that this isn't how it happened, that there is something not right about this. And taking us over to issue number 5, that lantern is telling Kelly that you don't understand. That glove won't just kill you, it will destroy every living thing. And as the lantern tries to take this from Kelly, that is when Ellie and Simon rush over. Simon bubbles up this lantern, and Ellie starts to explain to Kelly what's going on, that they're trapped inside of this mind maze, that they're forced to relive bad memories. This is how they find their way out. But Kelly tells them that this wasn't a bad memory. This is the day that she got her glove, but for some reason it's different, because it didn't happen this way. With Ellie trying to find the way out of this maze, each doorway they go through, it is one step closer. But when they walk through the next door, this is when Simon sees Nazir, his body dead. And this isn't how this memory happened either. Simon was able to save him. He was older, he was in a coma. But when Nazir, he gets up, he begins to choke Simon. And he tells him that if you don't destroy the gauntlet, then I have to keep you in the maze. Elsewhere on this station, we have Guy Gardner and Narf. They are battling for their lives, with Evil Star and his goons just destroying everything. This is where Guy Gardner pulls out a token, and he calls for a ride. Now Simon and them, they're able to get into another room, but the room that they get into is Kelly's abuelita, and with tears coming down her face, Kelly is begging, not here, please not here. While they face this new memory, we have everybody's favorite space cabbie that comes crashing in to save Guy Gardner and Narf. They hop into the cabbie and they hightail it out of here. With Evil Star and his men in hot pursuit, they head into the bowels of Starro. Now, Kelly, she rushes into the arms of her abuelita, apologizing for leaving her. And her abuelita goes on to tell her that that glove gave you everything that you ever dreamed of. Now, Simon at this point, he can understand she can't be trusted. There's a doorway that Ellie can't open. Abuelita says that only Kelly can open it. That is because the glove chose her. And on the other side of that door, you're gonna find out why. You'll really learn to do unbelievable things. Not only that, you'll be able to talk to me, the real me, outside of this maze. At this point, Simon's like, that's enough. Everyone else wanted you to destroy the glove, but she doesn't. She wants you to use the glove. Whatever it is, this maze is trying to distract us. That we only have an hour to get out of here. Otherwise, we die. But Kelly, she tries to fight, wanting to see her again, wanting to go through that door. Simon tells her that you can hit me as much as you like, over and over again, but we're not leaving you. And Kelly knows what she has to do. As they walk through that door, they come back into consciousness. As we pick up with Space Cabbie and Guy Gardner, Evil Star is still hot on their tail, though they've able to get rid of most of the guys on their tail. Can't get rid of Evil Star. And so this is where Narf, he goes ahead and he earns his keep. Like Guy Gardner had said earlier, it's the small guys you gotta worry about. As Narf jumps out of the space cabbie, not only do his Green Lantern powers activate, but we see him transform into a colossal titan. Even Evil Star has to take a gulp, with Narf pummeling him. Guy Gardner cannot be more excited to have him as his recruit, because if Narf is awesome, that means his teacher, by proxy, is also awesome. But with Simon coming back to consciousness, he knocks out the vendor Enzo that was trying to screw them over, that was trying to steal the gauntlet. And as they head outside, this is where they run into the space cabbie. They run into Narf, they run into Guy Gardner. They head into the cabbie and they head off to Oa. But deep in Kelly's mind, Ellie is still here, and Ellie is trying to figure out what is behind that door. That is where this issue will end. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Not a bad start to the Green Lantern Corps. First and foremost, I am super happy that the Green Lantern Corps has returned. This has always been a great series, and now we get to focus on a bunch of our other lanterns. From Simon to Jessica Cruz to Guy Gardner to even new characters like Narf. But more than that, we also get to explore our Teen Lanterns Gauntlet. We've always known that there's something different about it, that it harnesses its power from something else. Even the Guardians were very curious on what this gauntlet was. Everyone has tried accessing its true potential, but nobody has been able to do so yet. Now, in the recesses of Kelly's Ellie's mind. Ellie has dived in here. She has begun to open up the doors. Now we get to unlock the true memories of how Kelly got this gauntlet, what this gauntlet is, and what its true potential might be. But let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you want to get caught up on everything that has been going on with the Green Lantern series, with the Civil War, with Hal Jordan, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It'll get you caught up on everything that is connecting to these overall stories. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, you're getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you're unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.